What's up, world? This your boy Tommy, man. I just came to do like a quick video talking about the whole Blake Griffin to the Nets situation that's coming out. I didn't really want to delve deep into it because I really don't have time. But if you didn't know, Blake Griffin just signed a contract buyout with the Pistons, which everybody kind of knew was going to happen. It wasn't a surprise to most people. We all kind of assumed that was coming next. They weren't gonna. They were basically rebuilding. He was at 37 mil, so majority of people figured that would be the avenue. Some people said Lakers. Some people, people were bouncing around the Heat. I heard a lot, but so far, right now, they're saying the favorite to land him is probably the Nets. So, I mean, as far as the Nets go, I really didn't come in here to have a full-on discussion about how I think he fits with the Nets, because I think it's kind of obvious that would be a train wreck. Yes, he is a great lob shooting player. You can put him with James Harden, DeAndre Jordan. I think that's a real good fit, considering, that they have history together. Only difference was the point guard used to be Chris Paul. Now you're taking a shoot-first guard, preferably, in James Harden, who, let's be honest, he's really not shooting now because he's trying to prove a point that he doesn't have to shoot. But I think as time goes on, he's gonna, when he gets more of the spotlight, he's gonna become more of the shooter that he was. Blake Griffin is just not enough. It's not enough food to go around. And I guess you can say Blake Griffin really doesn't care. He just wants to win a championship. But if Blake Griffin is not playing up to his potential, meaning Blake Griffin really only works as a number one option. He doesn't work as a number two option because he needs plays run for him to be effective. That works when you have a guy like a LeBron James or Chris Paul. It doesn't work as well when you got a guy like James Harden who really only runs one play, which is pick and roll. And roll to the basket, big man roll to the basket. I mean, Blake Griffin is not the Blake Griffin that was catching alley-oops from Chris Paul. He's a completely different player. Where do I think his best fit would be? It would be the Lakers. I think the Lakers would be the best fit for him. Miami Heat that's also a really good fit for him. Along with Bam Adebayo, they got a lot of knockdown shooters. Jimmy Butler is a great all-around player. Do they need more of a one-on-one, another one-on-one player that could really help them? Yeah, I thought the Miami Heat would be a really good fit for him. The Nets, I would possibly say, could be possibly the worst fit for him. But the reason why I even came out to discuss this situation is because, seriously, if you are a serious Nets fan, I mean, really just Jordan fans, that's what I'm really speaking to. Because if he went to the Lakers, then it would be LeBron doesn't deserve a title. He has too many stars. He has too much talent. Which now that he goes to the Nets, when you look at the Twitter feed, it's Blake Griffin's washed up, so it doesn't really matter. These are the same people when 2 or 3 weeks ago, when the narrative was that when he gets buyed out, the favorite was going to be the Lakers. They were all saying if he went to the Lakers, then it would nullify LeBron becoming a champion. LeBron's championship doesn't matter. I saw this from literally everybody who was anti-LeBron on Twitter. But now that he's about to go to the Nets, he's a bum, he's washed up. Well, why are the Nets getting him? If he's a bum and he's washed up and he doesn't really help the team, why are they putting him on the team? Clearly he's going to bring something to the team if they're going after him. They're saying the Nets have, because of the exception with Dinwiddie, they have the ability to pay him the most. I don't think money really matters to him. He's getting a contract buyout, meaning he's probably going to make a lot of money regardless. Everything he's making this year will just be extra. So he probably gave up a little bit to get out of his contract. So really, he's in my mindset, it's like a $3 or $4 million is not going to change. It's going to make his decision for him. So the mindset that he's going to the Nets because of money is retarded. The fact that he's going to the Nets, to me, makes no sense at all. I don't think he fits. I'm going to be honest. I guess they can say he's another role guy off the bench. But do you think Blake Griffin is going to choose to come off the bench? No. So I guess you're gonna replace him. Who is he gonna replace? You're gonna put him at 3. You're gonna put Kevin Durant at 3. I guess Kevin Durant could be 3. He can be 4. But then they'll force and put Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is more of a straightforward 3-2. So I guess that does work. You got a 6'9", 6'10" Blake Griffin, 7-foot DeAndre Jordan, and Kevin Durant. It's pretty much an all-star team, right? But it all falls on the point guard to make sure everybody is fed. Blake Griffin, I think, is a great player. Once again, he's not the Blake Griffin that was skying, catching balls, dunking on people. He's had multiple knee surgeries. He's not that. He's more of a one-dimensional, like, step down, like a poor man's LeBron now, without the athleticism. He can go one-on-one. He's very big. He's very imposing, but he takes a lot of clock. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the problems with why the Pistons usually did better when he wasn't on the court than when he was because he takes up a lot of the clock. Like, Blake Griffin is worse than James Harden. Like, he literally has to he either gets in the box or he goes out to the 3-point line and takes you off the dribble. Like, he has to have a lot of play. He takes a lot of time. He's not a get the ball, give it up type of player. That's just not Blake Griffin. So him being on the Nets, I mean, maybe it could work if James Harden knows what he's doing, which, you know, James Harden's an okay point guard as long as he's pass first. But it's one thing to be pass first when you know, and you can score 14 assists and still get 20 points. It's another thing when you become the 4th or 5th option, which he's not because he's the point guard, so he pretty much gets to choose who gets the ball. But do I think Blake Griffin is going to be happy in that role? No. Do I think Blake Griffin will be a step up from who's that guy? Green? No. I think Green's a better in that position than Blake Griffin will ever be. He's a better spot up shooter. He's better off the ball than Blake Griffin is. Blake Griffin is not a good defender. I mean, good player off the ball. Defensively, he's okay. He's never really been a liability on defense, so that's a good that he's a step up. But Green wasn't a liability on defense. The liability was James Harden and whatchamacallit. And do I think Blake Griffin is a better defender than Green? No. I think they're both okay defenders. I think Green is a more versatile defender than Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin can't guard the perimeter as well as Green can. So I think you're taking away from Green, who I think is a very good cog in that machine, to put in a guy who really isn't. It's like I said, once again, it's like it's like buying a Ferrari to do a mail run. It's like, yeah, a Ferrari can do a mail run, but A, it's going to be a lot harder because it's not made to do a mail run. And 2, the features that makes it awesome, you can't really utilize it. Why not just get something that is made for delivery mail? Jeff Green is better in that spot. Jeff Green is a real 4. He's a stretch 4. He can guard. He's an interior, which Blake Griffin is better than him on the interior. But Blake Griffin is not as good on perimeter. As I said, the best fit for Blake Griffin would be the Lakers. That would be the best fit for him. He can roll off the ball. He can roll off the ball to the rim, which is what he can do well. On the Nets, they don't really need him to do it because they have DeAndre Jordan doing it. So they don't need Blake Griffin to do it. And 2, Blake Griffin is not the athlete he used to be. So, I don't know. All I'm trying to say is, where are all the people that 2 weeks ago said that if LeBron got Blake Griffin, it would be just unfair because Blake now he's dead. Now all of a sudden he's going to the Nets and he's washed up and the Nets don't really need him, and he's a great player, and LeBron's still in trouble because he's going to add to the bench. So basically they just saying, well, he's going to add because they need to make an excuse for why they're saying now the Nets are better with him. But they also need to not act like it's unfair. But if LeBron would have got him with AD out, it would have been unfair. It's not fair. It's just Jordan fans. I will say this. It's just Jordan fans. They never make sense. They never go with the same narrative that they push out. It's like they're backwards. One minute it's Blake Griffin is the greatest thing since sliced bread if LeBron get him. Now he helps to beat LeBron, and now all of a sudden he's washed up and he's gonna add what the Nets need, but not enough for it to be unfair. Because I said the same thing. It's like watching Floyd Mayweather in his prime when Floyd Mayweather was at the top. They didn't care. They wanted him. They knew Manny Pacquiao was doing steroids. It was obvious Manny Pacquiao was doing steroids. They didn't care. Because at the end of the day, they just wanted to see Floyd lose. And it's the same thing when it comes to Jordan fans. The Jordan fans have really bulked up because a lot of racist white people have become Jordan fans now. So you got a lot of racist white people who jumped on the bandwagon because LeBron decided to speak out on black issues. Now now they love Jordan, hate LeBron, and now it's just cemented that they hate LeBron because LeBron talks about black people. So, as I said before, get ready, man, because Jordan fans never, ever, ever make sense, and when they speak, you just gotta ignore them. Because right now, if it switches and Blake Griffin ends up going to the Lakers, watch the narrative change. He's no longer washed up. He's no longer a player that can't do what he used to do. He's no longer any of these things that he was when he was supposed to go to the Nets. Right? But if he goes to the Lakers and then he turns around and becomes a good player, it's not because LeBron utilized him the best. No. It's because now LeBron is le cheap. And the NBA is stacked to make sure LeBron James always wins. Make that make sense. So please, I just want to understand. I want the Jordan fans to stay consistent. That's all I ask. Stay consistent. Stay saying, keep that same energy you had when Jordan was there. When he was going to the Lakers. That's all I ask. When he was going to the Lakers, he was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and LeBron should be nullified from the GOAT conversation. Now he's going to the Nets to bulk up a team that's already a good team, and he doesn't add anything to the Nets. Funny how that narrative works. I'll be straight up honest. I don't think he's going to fit well with the Nets. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know. I have to see where his athleticism is at this point. From what I was watching when he was on the Pistons, he's not the same Blake Griffin he was on the Clippers. He's not dunking like he was. He's more of an ISO player now. So since he's an ISO player, you put him on a team with 3 other ISO players, and he needs the ball 14, 15 seconds at minimum during the shot clock to be an effective player. It's going to be real hard. I'm telling you, it's going to be real hard. So good luck with that. As I said before, the Heat, because the Heat, he can play ISO. You know what I'm saying? When Jimmy Butler subs out, he can take over, and then when he comes out, Jimmy Butler can take over. He works perfectly for the Heat. He works perfectly for a team. Who was the other team they were throwing out? The Golden State Warriors. I don't think he really fits because they're more of a pass the ball around team. He's more of an ISO, keep stagnant player. Doesn't really work well with them. But it was a couple teams they were talking about him actually going to. See if I can find some of the other ones. The Clippers. They're talking about him going to the Clippers. Him on the Clippers, that's all right. I mean, him on the Clippers works better than him on the Nets. You got Kawhi PG. You add him. I think he adds more of a scoring threat on the offensive side, which the Clippers need. So PG and Kawhi don't have to play 40, 50 minutes. He can come out. I mean, they can come out of the game, and 2 can still be in at a time. You know, they can spell for each other. They all 3 don't have to be playing at once. With the Nets, it's different. Yeah, you can swap them around, but at some point, you're going to have at least 3 ball-dominant players on the court at one time. At least to be effective, they have to be ball-dominant players, and I really don't see that fitting for the Nets. Clippers, yeah, I think it fits a little better with the Clippers. He can play off the ball and roll into the rim, which is what he does well. He's not a spot-up shooter, though. You know what I'm saying? But he does roll to the basket, and when you have a guy, a stretch 5 like a Ibaka, you can have more of an inside presence. without giving up athleticism if you bring in a guy like Blake Griffin. So I think for the Clippers it works. The Nets, I don't think it works. I just think it's just so I'm with the people when they say he doesn't really add much to the Nets. But I'm also gonna hold your foot to the fire because if LeBron would have got him, then all of a sudden, because LeBron is a good player who know how to utilize him, all of a sudden LeBron should be disqualified from the GOAT game. Yeah, and I just think that's ridiculous. So anyway, please comment. Let me know what y'all think. Because, you know what I'm saying, basically, the way I see it, you know what I'm saying, if you think that the Clippers or the Clippers or the Nets, if you think that LeBron James is somehow stacking the deck if he gets the Lakers, gets Blake Griffin, goes to the Lakers, but when he goes to the Nets, it's just fair game. Then you should really be really at this point start hearing people when they say it doesn't, that Jordan fans are just crazy. They're never consistent and they never make sense. Like I said, it's like when you had that friend that wanted Mayweather to lose. It's like everybody was great until Mayweather beat him, right? And then all of a sudden they weren't great anymore. They're like, Manny Pacquiao gonna kill him, beat him. Oh yeah, that was false. It was never that. Okay. De La Hoya is gonna beat him. I think De La Hoya gonna beat him. Monster flow with De La Hoya. Oh well, that was different. De La Hoya was old. Canelo's gonna beat him. Bop, bop, bop. Oh yeah, well that ain't work. 30 pounds heavier than Floyd. Oh yeah, well that was different. He was young. Cotto. Oh well, Cotto was never that good to begin with. Marquez. Oh well, Marquez. He kind of was good against Manny. There's always a reason for a hater to hate. All you can do is take out the competition in front of you. I don't care who the Nets get. They will never, even with Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin is going to slow them down on offense, and on defense, he's not that much of an upgrade except for on the interior. Interior, he's a upgrade because he's beefy and he's big, and so he can body a guy like LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Davis. He can get to that body and actually, block him out. So interior, that helps. But you need somebody who can work the perimeter, like a Green who can make up for the fact that you have two guys who are point guards who can't guard the perimeter. That's Kyrie Irving, with three. Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, and James Harden. So putting them on the court with two guys another guy who can't guard the perimeter is going to be freaking like a bucket with a hole in it. I think it's going to be problems when Kevin Durant comes back. Because now they're able to play two guards. They're able to play small. They're able to play Shannon with Jeff Green, which gives them a lot of versatility on the perimeter that can make up for the fact, so they can switch a lot because they have a lot of small guys. That's going to really hurt them when Kevin Durant comes back, because Kevin Durant is not the same type of player. He's not as beefy or bulky as Brown is or Green. He can't guard the perimeter, the interior like they do. Kevin Durant is a liability on the interior. So you can switch and get the matchup you want better with Kevin Durant on the court. And that's why their defense is worse with him. Even though he's a better defender than Harden or Durant. That's why they're a better team with just Kevin. I said before, the Nets are a better team with just Kevin Durant than they are with Kevin Durant and James Harden. With James Harden and Kevin Durant, I think they're the best team in the league. I'll go so far as to say the Lakers will have a run for their money if it was just James Harden and Kevin Durant. If it was just those two, I think the Nets hand down win the championship. Not because I think the Lakers couldn't compete, but that D'Antoni style with a guy like Kevin Durant in it, that up-tempo speed, and then on defensive side you can play a smaller lineup with Kevin Durant as a 7-footer with a Brown plus a Joe Harris who can spread the floor and a DeAndre Jordan who can guard the rim. I think you're adding a different dimension because you're adding another. You can put Brown in his true position, which is a 2. You can bring a 3. You can put Joe Harris in at 2, Now you still got two liabilities, but the difference in the situation is that Kevin Durant can also guard the perimeter, and you can switch Green and Brown in and out, and I think you got a pretty good lineup there defensively. But I think with Kyrie Irving, you got a huge liability, and then you add in James Harden, and even with, if you want to start Brown and Kevin Durant, Brown once again he's gonna have to play more of the interior. You have to put Kevin Durant more on the perimeter, and he's not as effective on the perimeter. He's okay. He's a good defender when he can recover and have help, and come and help over and block. But he's not somebody that's gonna lock you up on the perimeter, because he's 7 foot. So it's like it's really hard to place Kevin Durant defensively. But he's a great rim protector, when he can help out. He can stay close enough to the rim to still protect. But he's not. Kevin Durant is not really going to be able to stay in front of a guard. He's not going to be able to stay in front of a fast 2 or 3. So that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, as far as the Lakers, I think that with those two it will be better. The Lakers. I said I think they'll win the championship. I would X that. I don't know if they will win the championship. I know it will go 7 games between them and the Lakers. Because it's kind of hard to doubt LeBron. Like, LeBron would make the adjustments, I think, still, and probably still come out on the top. But it would be a closer, matchup. I think with this matchup, they're robbing Peter to play Paul in too many scenarios. Even if you add Blake Griffin, you robbing Peter to play Paul, and do I think he's going to end up with the Nets? No. I think that's banter. I think he'll end up probably with the Heat. And if he does end up with the Heat, I think that'll be a really good fit. And I think the Heat will be a problem. I think that'll be a real problem. With a second superstar to go along with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero can go back into his role of a 6-man coming off the bench. Duncan can spread the court. You know what I'm saying? And you got Kendrick Nunn. You got one of the deepest benches in the league with Dragic, Goran Dragic, and all those guys. I mean, the Heat are a problem if they bring in Blake Griffin. The Clippers also, I think, if they get him, is good. But I think there's bad blood between him and Ballmer after Ballmer lied to him. So I don't think he's going back to the Clippers. But I do think he wants to get to L.A. I think he wants to be in L.A. I think he wants to be in a big market. So maybe he could choose the Nets, but I think he's more than likely going to choose somewhere like Miami or somewhere on the West Coast, because I think he wants to come back to California. This is my opinion, though. Please comment. Let me know what y'all thinking. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Like it if you like what I'm saying, and keep it up, y'all. Keep supporting me. Thank y'all. Peace.